A very pleasant good afternoon as we welcome you into the newest edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. The dear Goon with the, yes, Christmas tree adorning the background before Thanksgiving, no less, dear Goon.
Not my decision, and you have to know that, Jeffrey. Come on now.
Believe me, I do. We have our Christmas tree up as well. And if I had my way, although I will say it is nice coming down in the morning and having it lit up. It's a fun thing to have up, and it does put you in a better mood seeing those Christmas lights as we work our way toward the Thanksgiving holiday first. And then, yeah, Christmas is just around the corner. Lots to get into today, Goon. I wanted to start just kind of talking about the Virginia Tech, Penn State, the connections, the concerns, I guess, moving forward, how we think that this thing will kind of play out. It's interesting. We had Dave Gertis on this morning, and just with the Happy Valley Adventure Bureau, and we were talking about a bunch of other things, but we were mentioned, obviously, the coaching hire here is going to have a substantial impact on the local community moving forward. And it just, again, we can argue all you want if you're, and I hear from folks every now and then, and I get it. And I don't think you're unreasonable, but it's like, it's ridiculous. Football would drive the economy here. And that, okay, it may be ridiculous. It also is factual. And so it is vitally important for this entire community that this, hire is a good one, is the right one. Sure. And, I think they're going to take their time, they being Pat Kraft and company, are going to take their time trying to do exactly that. But one of the interesting things about this is Virginia Tech and Penn State have never played. Of course, they were scheduled to play this year, interestingly enough, and then the pandemic occurred and the series. I'm still not sure I completely understand. I get the gist of it. I'm still not sure I really understand why. Yep, there's nothing we can do. We got to just scrap the series altogether. But whatever, right? It gets scrapped. And to me, we've talked about this before, Goon. Blacksburg, Virginia, and State College, Pennsylvania are probably as similar college towns as you will find anywhere in the country. A very similar vibe, very similar in terms of the size, the impact of the program on the community. You could probably argue Penn State a little more on most of those fronts, at least historically. But man, they are really similar towns, really similar followings and love for their programs and all of that. And I think, I go back to the shootings at Virginia Tech, and they're just, even before that, there was a connection there between the two universities. There's a lot of folks that are working at Penn State that are Virginia Tech grads. There are a lot of folks at Virginia Tech working that are Penn State grads. There's been a connection there between those two schools, and to some degree, those two football programs, even though, again, they've never played one another in the history of the programs, which is just another interesting side note.
Yeah.
A lot of folks are getting worked up, Goon. I don't know. Yeah, your thoughts on James Franklin and the impact. And I'm not saying that there's not going to be an impact. There will be. I have no doubt about that. But when you made this decision, if you're Pat Kraft, he knows. He had to know that, well, yeah, when James gets another job, no matter where it is, there's going to be a good chunk of the staff and likely some of the roster that will follow him wherever that place is. And now we know that place is Virginia Tech.
Yeah, and I often say, because I lived in the Richmond, Virginia area for 5 years, so a lot of Virginia Tech people down there, but they have always liked Penn State because the transfer between Penn State grads and master's work and that type of thing at Virginia Tech, a Virginia Tech grad coming to Penn State for grad work, there's a lot of that. You mentioned the shootings that happened years ago. Yes, there was a lot of Penn State people who have ties to Virginia Tech. So the schools are so similar. The towns are so similar. They actually, even the backdrop of everything it's so similar. It's in the mountains and stuff like that. Blacksburg's, the town is very dependent upon the football program. The whole thing, the whole shebang, much like Penn State. And, everybody knew that James was going to take a good faction of people from Penn State going down to Blacksburg. But it will be interesting to see who does stay, so who is invited to stay or who goes, because we don't know our future. And it's starting to get to that concerning point right now where if, guys are going to go, they're going to go. It's like you want to hold them back and say, hey, this is what we got going on. Just look at our recruiting base. Why have we lost 18 recruits so far? And other schools haven't lost because we haven't named a coach, nor have they. But why are recruits decommitting from Penn State? And that is what I think Tangwell said it in an article, was that a lot of recruits come here because they like James, and the thought of being paid in the future is a big thing. Whereas some schools are paying right up front. So I don't know about that, the money stuff and whatnot, but here's where I'm standing. If you want to go to Virginia Tech with James Franklin, go ahead. That's fine. We will figure this out. Whoever we have coming in will figure it out. If that's what they want to do, then let them do that. Yes, it does stink in the long run, but we've seen enough in the last 5 years of coaches coming in, bringing some of their people in and some of their recruits, just like we're going to lose some of our recruits to James. Whoever we get should be bringing their own guys in. So, it's, again, like everything else, we'd like to make the decision sooner than later, but if that's not going to be possible, it's not possible. But the one I told you on Tuesday, my biggest fear is losing everything by not having a coach in the next couple of weeks. Has your opinion changed since Tuesday? Have you seen anybody come out to the forefront to be the next coach here or anything?
No, my mind is kind of all over the place on it still, and that's probably makes it difficult to make any kind of proclamations. What I said on our morning show today is I do think it is more important, while I understand and no question the timing is important in the moment. It is more important to me. If you need to wait another month, Goon, I get it. I get the impact on the short term. But if it is to get the person that Pat Kraft believes is truly the right fit, that to me is more important than, well, you got to get you got to have something in place by signing day. You're going to lose this entire staff if you don't have something in. All of that may be true, but if at the end of the day the choice is, and I'm not saying this is definitively the choice either, but if it is, hey, we either need to wait a month and get the guy that we think we know is going to be the person that can lead us for the next 5 years and will get us a national title, or at least knocking on the door of one, then you wait for that versus, oh my gosh, well, we just got to get somebody in here now. And you take person X, who's a good candidate, but not the person that you think, man, that's not our A guy, but I think he'll do well, but at least we can get him in here. I would rather go ahead and blow it up, for lack of a better term, short term, to get the right person long term. If that is, again, if it is an either or proposition, and it may or may not be, but to me, more critical that I would rather you go get the person, whoever that person is, that you think is, man, that is our top guy, our top candidate. If you can get him and you feel like you can do that waiting another month, and again, presumably that would mean you're going after somebody that is going to be in the playoffs. I don't know what other scenario would have you waiting a month to get the hire. You know, if we're waiting a month and then Pat Fitzgerald is introduced, well, yeah, now we've got a multitude of problems, which is another thing. So,
yeah,
it does feel, Goon, right? Like there is. It's seeming unlikely to me that it is Pat Fitzgerald, even though I would love it, and I think that is a great hire. It just seems like if that was the guy you were targeting, I can't imagine Pat Fitzgerald would be sitting there, well, no, wait, I need to wait and see what other jobs open up. Like, it seems like this, again, from the outside looking in, if I'm Pat Fitzgerald and trying to envision being in his shoes and Penn State's knocking on my door, I don't think I'm waiting to see, well, maybe the USC job's going to open up, or maybe I think I'm like, this is a top-end job. They really want me. Let's negotiate this thing. I'm going to make, generational money, and let's get to work. So, again, maybe I'm not reading the tea leaves right. It just, I don't know why. We've talked about it before with like Urban Meyer and Nick Saban. If it was one of those guys, why wouldn't that be a done deal by this point? Like, that just doesn't, on the surface anyway, make any sense. So then you go to, and really, if they are seriously considering Terry Smith, then again, to me, you get that one locked up. Now, maybe you wait and see, all right, does this thing still look right against Nebraska Saturday night? But I don't really see why you don't go ahead and at least start leaking it out internally, so that the players in that locker room, and, I don't think that has happened. If it has, boy, they are being really, really cagey about it, and hats off to them. But I don't think that's occurring. So I think it's going to be either a coordinator from one of the other schools, or very likely a head coach at one of the other Division I schools out there.
If the fear of losing our players and our staff is out there, then why wouldn't Pat just say, hey, Terry Smith is going to interview for this job to be the head man, or he will be here in some capacity? You know what I mean? Well, to have some kind of stability right now would alleviate a lot of pains and a lot of issues people are having mentally and in their thoughts. Me specifically, and that is are we going to miss the boat? Are we going to lose out of this whole recruiting class? And I'm fine losing the whole recruiting class if we get who we want. Now, again, like you just said, if we go out and get a Pat Fitzgerald and say, why the hell didn't we do this 2 months ago? Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm 100% on board with you on that. And we have talked about this a whole ton. And that is that, we should have somebody in it that's not coaching right now. Is it a Joe Brady who's involved in a playoff run with the Buffalo Bills? Then, at least make the announcement. You're not going to affect the NFL by saying Joe Brady's going to the Penn State Nittany Lions. It didn't affect Bill O'Brien when he was here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If there's a lot of ways we could go with this, but I think some kind of message from Pat announcing some kind of stability with the program going forward, like, hey, where we're at right now in our search it is still wide open. Terry Smith is going to interview for the job. And if he does not receive the head coach, he will be here in some capacity. I don't care if he's the damn recruiting coordinator or a water boy. Terry Smith deserves to be on this staff somewhere, somehow at this university. I don't know this. I'm just saying this. But, I'm sure Pat went to Terry when he was getting ready to fire James and said, hey, you're going to run the ship. Are you okay with that? And Terry being a Penn State guy through and through, he would say, yes, I'm sure. And then, but, what's Terry's relationship with James Franklin? Is Terry just waiting for this season to be over to go join James? I don't know. So, what do you think about some kind of announcement from Pat announcing some sort of stability, or at least like a coaching search update, like, hey, we still have our guy, this and that, we're still interviewing people. I don't know. It's a little up in the air, and I guess that's where I'm a little confused by the whole thing, is that Tech's making moves. We have guys leaving our staff right now. going with James. Nobody on the physical, like, coaching staff, but there's still people out there who, need their jobs taken care of and being done. So, what do you think? An announcement from Pat? Something? I don't know.
If he could, I think he would. I don't know. I thought it was interesting when Terry Smith was asked about, would there be any possibility of you, meaning Terry, joining James Franklin at Virginia Tech? He basically said, yeah, possible. Anything's possible. We got to focus on Nebraska right now. I'm trying to finish this thing out. But, yeah, I got to look at all of your options, which, again, makes me think that Pat Kraft hasn't had that conversation with Terry Smith. And by the way, I know there's going to be some people critical of that. It's like, well, you have to keep Terry Smith. Well, if you are bringing in somebody and it is the guy that you think is going to be the guy, and he has his methods, and he says, no, I have my staff together. I know what I want to bring in. And then, maybe Terry Smith isn't part of it. I think I find it hard to believe that you wouldn't be able to find a position and get that worked out. But the other part of it is, if Terry Smith really likes coaching, and I'm under the impression that is what his love is being on the field with the players, and maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe it's maybe he does value the relationships, but it doesn't have to be on the field. So again, there's so many different moving parts to this and factors that I don't really know the answer to in terms of what people want and what they're looking at.
Or the structure of what Penn State's going to be. Will they have a general manager? Will the head coach be in charge of everything? Like, correct. There's nothing out there.
Yeah, and the thing is, so if you're Terry Smith and you're being told, listen, we're trying to figure this thing out, and James Franklin is saying, man, come with me, and you're the associate head coach. I'm not going to sit here and blame Terry Smith if that occurs. And again, there's so many hypotheticals out there, and I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, because until things happen, it's just that. It's theoretical, and most of the things we're discussing won't come to fruition because there's only going to be one coach hired, and then everything else will play out the way that coach and Pat Kraft decide is how the program needs to move forward. I actually generally agree. We have Mark checking in on the messages at this moment after we've made a lot of coaches richer. That is a fact. I would say it has to be Hartline or Chesney, and I am leaning toward Chesney because he has a staff to bring, and with the hopes that Terry stays. We've talked about it, Goon. Listen, no matter who it is, I'm going to I'll be supportive, but I'm also going to be, I want to see how this thing develops. I think Chesney, to me, seems like a great hire. My question is, how deep into conversations is he with UCLA? UCLA is clearly making a play for him, and does he look at Penn State as a clear step up over UCLA if those are the two offers that he has to choose from? And listen, he may have other offers on the table as well. There's a lot of really good programs out there that are looking for good coaches, and I think Chesney is already a proven very good head coach. And yeah, Brian Hartline, again, I would be fine with. I think, one of the things that I would be curious about, and I don't know that we're necessarily going to get an honest answer publicly to this, but how important is it, and should it be? And I'm not arguing one way or the other. I'm just genuinely curious. When Pat Kraft is talking to these coaches, and you're not going to be beholden to this, obviously. We all understand that. But is part of the conversation, like, is this the place you want to be? Or, like, if you're Brian Hartline and Ryan Day does go to the NFL, is your real desire to get back to Ohio State? And maybe, again, I'm not saying that definitively then rules you out or should rule you out, but I think you need to be honest in those conversations. Like if you're Brian Hartline and you're like, yeah, in my heart of hearts, if someday I get the opportunity to coach at my alma mater, man, that would be to be the head coach. That would be my ultimate dream. But yeah, outside of that, I would not leave Penn State. Then I think you can live with that. It's like, all right, well, now we know exactly where we stand. And I think you have to have similar conversations with whoever it is. And I think, hope that everybody is being honest with each other that, yeah, this is, no, that, man, as long as you'll keep me, Penn State is the place I want to be. Or, yeah, listen, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that in 5 years from now, if somebody else offers more money, depending on how things go, that I wouldn't jump. And I don't know how honest people are or aren't in those situations, but I'd like to think you can have an honest discussion just so you know, again, where you're at, be on the same page and know, hey, I got to have something ready here in my hip pocket in case that particular job or jobs come open. Long way of saying, yeah, I'm okay. I think the Hartline Chesney possibilities make a lot of sense. The Drinkwitz thing still makes sense to me. I know there's a lot of people. It's he's a poor man's version of James Franklin. Look at the record. And they're doing the same thing with Matt Rule. And again, Matt Rule's staying at Nebraska. It seems apparent now. But folks, if you're honestly not understanding the difference between being 4-21 against top 5 teams or top 10 teams, whatever it is at Penn State versus, in Matt Rule's case, Temple and Baylor, and in Drinkwitz's case, in the SEC with Missouri. I mean, come on. Pat Fitzgerald, I don't know what his record was, but he had a losing record by a good measure against top 25 teams. Well, yeah, because he was at Northwestern. They didn't have the resources, nothing close to it, or the history or tradition of Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan. So, I think you have to take everything into account here when you're trying to assess.
The same people who were complaining about 4-21 versus Big Ten teams, or Matt Rule being James Franklin 2.0, were the same people complaining that James Franklin was here, he should be fired, and then he gets fired, and now he's the greatest coach of all time, Virginia Tech. Penn State is stupid for getting rid of him. Again, I go back to Andy Reid and the Philadelphia Eagles. Time was done. It was done. It was through. It was time to move on. Time to break away. We can all like James Franklin. James Franklin can love Penn State all he wants, and that's fine. But in the long run, it wasn't going to work out. It was done. The time was up. Just like Andy Reid's time in Philadelphia. He goes to Kansas City. He has great success. I hope James Franklin has the greatest success at Virginia Tech if it doesn't involve beating Penn State. That's how I feel about it. It was just time for him to move on and for us to break apart. That's the bottom line. But the same people who were giving Penn State crap for getting rid of James Franklin and signing up one of these other coaches, no, I don't agree. And these are the people who just talk the talk, these stupid people who have radio shows that talk sports all the time like they're idiots,
Knuckleheads, every one of them.
Absolute idiots. So, again, it's the same people. It was Nick Saban. It was Kirk Herbstreit. It was all the guys on game day giving James Franklin crap about all these big game James. And then they have him on the show and they're kissing his butt, So go ahead. That's fine. I'm going to be okay with whoever the hell we get. We're going to support him as Penn State fans. I guess it's the 2025. So him or her, whoever does take the job here at Penn State, we have to, we will support, and we will support. There's no doubt in my mind we won't support this person. So, at
least initially.
Initially, yes, that's fine. It was just time for James to go, for him to move on from Penn State, and Penn State to move on from James. We're going to be fine with whoever we get. Like I said, the only worry I have is losing this recruiting class right now, the current recruiting class. is getting pillaged right now because we don't have anything going. We don't know anything going forward right now. Pat knows that. Pat's not a stupid person. Pat's a very intelligent, smart, analytical person. He understands what's happening in this recruiting class, and he's not doing it. Everything has a plan. It's all in place. We just got to be patient with it. And I'm just as guilty as you and guilty as anybody else. I want this thing ready to go. I want it up and rolling.
Sure.
And I want to get going.
Yeah, you want to know what who the person is, obviously, but what the vision is for the program and what the plan is to get Penn State, quote unquote, over the hump into the Final Four on a regular basis, a national title, and then see how that plan does or does not come to fruition. And I think most of the names being mentioned, Goon, I think do make sense. I think would be reasonably good fits. I think some, at least on paper, to me, better fits than others. Some would get me more excited than others. But I also, again, I don't think Pat Kraft needs to be focused on, man, and we need to make the splash higher here. That you need to get the guy that you think can go out, get the recruits, develop the talent, get the staff together, pull everybody in the same direction, and like that you truly believe, yep, man, I can see this guy getting this program at Penn State over the top, a national title within 3 or 4 years. I mean, that has to be the thinking, the mindset, and the goal. And then you just sit back and you see what happens and how it plays out. I think it is going to be really difficult, no matter who it is, to make that type of headway in the Big Ten, to be clearly even on par, let alone better than Ohio State and Oregon year in and year out. And, I think Michigan's kind of teetering right now too. Like, are they going to stay right there with the big boys, or are they going to slip a step back? I think, USC, this is a big weekend for them with Oregon, and I think for Lincoln Riley. I mean, there's just a lot of moving parts within the conference, within the country, and that landscape, we don't know exactly what it's going to look like and how this is going to, again, either come together or not come together. And that is one of the other parts that I think is really challenging for Pat Kraft is whoever it is, just as all of the coaches at all of these big time programs, like they need to be ready to adapt quickly to potential more changes coming down the road here in college football, and not necessarily better or worse, just different. That this landscape is going to change a little more yet. And you need somebody that is, yep, I'm good with that. I have the plans and I'm ready to move forward with that. And, the Virginia Tech component now, Goon, does add that the other wrinkle here is inevitably, right, everybody is going to be, well, let's see what James Franklin's record is at Virginia Tech. Let's see whoever the next head coach at Penn State's record is there. And I mean, that comparison is going to be nonstop for as long as Franklin is at Virginia Tech and as long as whoever the next coach is of Penn State is here in Happy Valley. That is just going to be, it's going to be a week-by-week comparison next year, and then it'll be an annual comparison for sure for the next, at least 4 or 5 years moving forward.
We were a spoiled fan base, aren't we? From back in the Joe Pa era. Like, we never had to deal with this before. And now we're dealing with it every 10, 12 years now.
Yeah, no question about that. And again,
say hi, Ironhead.
Hey there, buddy. The puppy is on the screen for those listening on the radio, and always good to see the pups. Brings a smile to your face.
Yes, it does. Yes, so the paternal, I'm obviously best friends with Craig Fitzgerald, the old strength coach here at Penn State. Well, he played football at Maryland, and he told me something back in the day, when he got here with Bill, and that was, he had 4 staffs in his 5 years at Maryland. and then he's had 5 staff since then, in like the 12 years since. So we have been very, very spoiled with Joe, being here for 60 some years. And then the Bill thing, Bill was always very upfront about, he said he was going to go back to the NFL. We always knew that. It just happened a lot faster than we thought it would. And then James, this was his wannabe career job. And it just fell apart. The love ended on both sides of everything. So time to move on. So we're a fickle fan base when it comes to that because we are spoiled. We want stability and this and that, but it's a very unstable sport that we have been very spoiled by. There is a lot of different things that can come up, and I know we're going to go to break here, but you've heard me say a couple of years ago. There was a story that somebody told me about UCLA and USC, how they view their football coaches as different entities than we do. We want to go win football games. We want to go do this. They want to be a good public person and this and that. USC, UCLA are in the middle of Los Angeles, California, which is where Hollywood is. They like the pretty boys out there. They like guys who can command television and demand like the people out in the LA and Hollywood area.
Yeah.
So, is Chesney that guy? I don't know. I know he's a great football coach, and I'd like to have him here at Penn State. He's a Pennsylvania guy. I think he would be fantastic here at Penn State. But is he? There's another guy. Are we waiting for him to see if he goes to the playoffs? Are we waiting for all these other guys who are going to the playoffs? I don't know. Again, there's a lot of questions that me and you have. And I'm sure everybody else has the same questions, and we want them answered. But I think that Pat knows the end of this story. Hopefully, I hope that he's not put all his eggs in one basket, and that basket says, "Nope, I gotta, I'm going to re-up here. I just got a contract extension." Because when we come back from break, how many guys have gotten paid since James Franklin left?
Yeah, it has helped many a financial portfolio in the college football coaching world. There is zero question about that. And, and that's fine. I think that's the market speaking. And I think, again, that's fine as far as it goes. I do think what is critical moving forward is that Penn State identify that the new coach more accurately identifies, all right, this is the direction we need to go for the next year. Meaning, all right, I have no feel, Goon. Maybe you do, or maybe Landon does. I had somebody ask me, and it kind of caught me off guard. I'm like, you know what? I truly have no idea. The percentage of that Penn State roster right now, Goon, the ones with eligibility left, obviously there's going to be 30 plus seniors recognized and honored here on Saturday night. So there's a large portion of the roster that's moving on no matter what, whether they're out of eligibility. But of the remaining players, and those that have been asked have given, I think, honest answers in that, I don't know. I want to see who the coach is, and then I'll make a decision. But I don't have, and I don't know that anybody does. I don't know that the players have a real strong sense yet. But are 10 players going to be back from this roster next year? Are 50 players going to be back? Are we going to have 60, 65 players back? I keep seeing different things about, Darius Dixon looks great. And man, he's going to be a key part next year. Well, is he? Maybe, maybe a huge part, and maybe not at all. And I just don't have any sense, Goon, for what we're looking at in terms of again, we know there's going to be roster turnover. I guess it is all but guaranteed that there's going to be some players, right, that transfer out. That happens every year regardless. So it's hard to imagine that with as much turmoil and upheaval as Penn State has seen, that, nope, this is the 1 year where every single player comes back from one season to the next. So some are going. And I guess I am presuming that there will be, at the very least, a handful that will be heading to Blacksburg and will join James Franklin at Virginia Tech. But, like, again, even there, is that going to be, are there going to be 30 players making that move, or is it going to be 4 or 5 players? Is it going, I have no feel for it. And I don't know if anybody else does. And it's the same thing with the staff. Like, with the uncertainty here at Penn State, again, if James Franklin is telling, and I'm just making stuff up here, but if James Franklin says to Ty Howell, hey, yeah, you can wait around at Penn State and see what happens there, or you can come be my offensive coordinator next year. Well, if I'm Ty Howell, that's a pretty, and here's what I'm paying you, and it's more than you're making at Penn State. Like, that's going to be a pretty hard spot for Ty Howell to say, no, I'm going to sit here and wait and see if there's a possibility that maybe the next guy will keep. Or no, are you going to take a guaranteed step up and be with a guy that you know you can work with? I don't know. So I think my guess is there's at least part of the staff and part of the roster. But again, is it going to be like 10 staff members and 30 players off of the roster, or is it going to be a few staff members, few coaches? When I say staff, a lot more staff, but coaches. Is it going to be 3 coaches and 7 or 8 players? I don't know right now, and again, I don't know if anybody knows just yet what that is going to look like.
Yeah, does Jim Knowles go with James to Virginia Tech? Does he go down there? I mean, am I wrong? Does Knowles have a 3-year contract here?
Yeah, I can't imagine. So I don't know what the clauses are in terms of him leaving and what that looks like. I would think it is, of all of the coaches on the staff right now, while there's great sentiment, and I'm with you, I want Terry Smith and would love to see him remain part of the staff. To me, the most guaranteed, and none of them are guaranteed, and I certainly understand that. I think Jim Knowles, it's really hard for me to see them moving on from Knowles, in part because of the financial commitment, but also, and again, we'll see how this thing finishes up, but from day one, Goon, right? What has everybody talked about? Well, that Jim Knowles defense, the second year is when it takes hold. And I got to tell you, Goon, that's the best. I get the competition. I mean, I do. I get it. But that's the best that defense looked this season against Michigan State. If they finish up strongly, and the other big if they return most of the players that they can return, right, that have eligibility remaining. And that to me is, again, a big question, because Jim Knowles in the second year with the same team. Well, if it's a completely different team next year, well, then it feels like we're likely back to square one with Jim Knowles. Or again, to your point, does Jim Knowles say, yep, whatever we got to do to work out the contract here, I'm taking my players with me, and we're heading down to Blacksburg, and we're going to take this thing to the next level with Virginia Tech next year. I have no idea, no feel for it at all.
It'd be interesting to see what happens there, what happens with Rojas. Rojas is a Northern Virginia kid. Does he go down to Blacksburg with James, or does he love Penn State and stay at Penn State? I don't know. You and we love Penn State, but you know what talks and you know what walks. So, does James say we're going to, give you this much more money to come down to Virginia Tech and play here? I don't know. Is it true that the Virginia Tech has offered to Arizona State quarterback? Was that proven to be true, or is that false?
It sounds like true, but yeah,
$8 million.
Goon, the money flying around right now is bonkers. Obviously, when
Drew Aller was in $4 million
to college,
so this kid worth double that, and Drew Aller was in 6th place in the country of highest paid NIL guys. Now that goes with how much money is being spent on their own NIL. I don't know. It's the dumbest thing ever.
We will take a break here, and we are back with more of our Thursday edition. We're going to talk some Penn State hoops when we come back. Nittany Lions gutting one out over Harvard last night. As we continue, it is our Thursday edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox.
This region is known for its winding forest roads and scenic wild beauty. And there's one vehicle that's as rugged as Happy Valley. It's the Kia Telluride from Lion Country Kia. Hurry in now and check out the all-around rugged 2025 Tellurides. Lion Country Kia has the spacious 7-seater SUV with as low as 2.99% financing for 60 months or a $1,500 Kia finance rebate. There's 19 Tellurides in stock ready to go, starting at only $43,145. Be sure to check out the entire Kia lineup at Lion Country Kia. There's 91 new Kias available. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Who trusts Lion Country Kia? Mitchell Messenbrink trusts Lion Country Kia. And you should too. Lion Country Kia. 1334 Dravova Street, off Shiloh Road, behind Sam's Club, State College. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS, once again.
The Fox, your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority. WFXS America.
98.7 The Fox, State College, the Goon and Ironhead.
And we are back here on a Thursday afternoon, and little technical difficulty on the radio side. We're working to get that rectified as we speak. as we roll on here. Penn State hoops last night, Goon. I thought, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that that's a great win, beating a Harvard team out of the Ivy League, but it was a gutsy effort. One of those nights where not everything was going Penn State's way, felt like everything was going Harvard's way, and they kind of gutted it out. And again, I realize this team is in for some troubled waters this season. They are in the Big Ten, but Goon, I keep getting encouraged by what it is I'm seeing in different games from different guys. Mingo, let's start there, is obviously, he sure feels like a guy that's going to live up to the hype he had coming in. He is a stat sheet filler. He's obviously a good scorer, but man, he plays the game and he knows the game, has a great feel for it. And I just think seemingly gets more and more comfortable with his teammates and with what Penn State is trying to do with each outing here. And I do think that is a guy you can kind of build around here for the future. No doubt about that, or at least it doesn't feel like there's any doubt about that.
Yeah, and then like last year, it was like they were almost finding ways to lose games at times. They didn't have any offensive. They had no rebounding and stuff like that. Stuff that they've improved on this year. It is a completely different team out there watching them. I don't have to repeat myself, but I always do, and that is you're never going to have Mike Rhodes will never be satisfied until he wins. The dude is a winner. The dude is a hustler. The dude is a madman. He will lock himself in that gym and that team and make them tough. That is the hallmark of a Mike Rhodes team, is their toughness, their accountability, how they can handle themselves in big opportunities, and he will not rest until we are known for that. That's just why you go out and get a Mike Rhodes type of guy. We're talking about our football coach. Does he have ties to Pennsylvania? Does he love being at Penn State? Mike Rhodes loves being at Penn State. He wants to play here and win here forever. He wants to finish coaching here. There's no doubt in my mind. He is where he wants to be. So, there's only one place to go but up from where they're at recently. So I have no qualms. I have no fears of what Mike is going to be doing with this program. And, I don't think the Big Ten is going to be it's going to be bad because the Big Ten is loaded yet again.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be as bad as last year. I think there will be games that they lost last year that they should have won, that they will win this year. Mike will that to happen. He will make them learn how to win games. And if they're not doing it, he will go out and find new guys to do it. He's not going to be satisfied until he is a winner here in State College. And I love it. I love watching it. I love watching him coach. I love having him interacting with players. And I love talking to him. As a human being, as a friend, he's fantastic to talk to. It's like I just said, he would lock himself into a gym until they get good. If he could. That's just the way he is and how his mindset is. It's work, toughness, go out and win basketball games. So I don't know, man. I like it. I like where we're at right now. Would I like to see a 15, 20-point win over a Harvard? Yes, but maybe it wasn't falling last night, but they found a way to win. Last year, they find a way to lose that game.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it's just, regardless of the opponent, it's good to get that gut check to have a situation where you've got to come up with some plays down the stretch. Now, they had a couple of plays. It's like, man, do not be fouling on a 3-point shot when you're trying to put the game around there, boys. But, again, you get the W. You get the learning experience. It is a very young team, very young roster, and I think – hopefully you take those lessons to heart. You move on. Another big opportunity here against Providence in Connecticut on Saturday, and see if they can just keep stringing wins together here, stringing some more opportunities to gain confidence and to continue to get that chemistry. And I think you can kind of see it as these games progress. That these guys are getting a good feel for one another. And again, I think are just figuring out what they can do as a team, what each of them individually needs to do, what they don't need to do. And I think they are on a really good track right now. And yeah, I mean, it's not going to sit here and tell you that was the prettiest of wins and everything's roses after that, but there's something to be said about gutting out a win sometimes, and Penn State was able to do that. The old find a way, and they did that last night, and I think you move on, and again, Mingo is just a special player. I mean, I think he's going to be fun to watch throughout his Penn State career here, and we'll see if they can keep the chemistry and the development going here. Couple of other things just to touch on with Penn State sports. Of course, Penn State Wrestling will be back in action with the Army West Point Black Knight Invitational coming up on Sunday. And Penn State will be taking 20 wrestlers to that event. And I think this is obviously a very special Penn State team. I think it's just another opportunity to get the guys, especially the younger guys, a little more experience under their belt. But even the veterans, you want to get the matches here, that feel for outside competition, regardless of the caliber of that competition. You just again want to get that feel for collegiate wrestling, folk style versus the freestyle that a lot of these guys were competing in over the summer. And again, I know there's a lot of similarities, but there's also a number of differences that are substantial. And I think just getting back into that flow of folk style wrestling is important as well. And I think that's why this tournament comes at a good time here early in the season for the Nittany Lions.
Absolutely. I mean, and they're not wrestling all their top guys, right? They're just going to bring, like they usually have a couple guys wrestling each weight, right?
Yeah, I think they'll bring all of the starters. Josh Barr probably won't go because of the injury, but I think
nice segue, Ironhead.
Yeah.
Guess who my guest is on Monday night at the Blue White Players Show this Monday night?
No kidding.
Josh Barr. He'll be my guest Monday night. So very nice, very nice segue, bro. Thank you.
There you go.
You're a professional, Jeffrey. You're a professional.
We do what we can, which most days isn't much, but we do what we can. The Penn State hockey team, couple of big games coming up this weekend at Minnesota. Just like to at least get a split, Goon, here before heading into the break. They won't play again after this weekend until after the new year. And so you just like to get that good taste in your mouth. And again, if you could sweep on the road, obviously you go in with a great taste in your mouth. But I think if you can, get a couple of points here, I think you take it and you feel like you're in good position here to make some noise in the second half of the season. And if they can make the type of noise they made a year ago, look out, Goon, because this really is a team that I think can go win a national title here when the postseason rolls around.
Without a doubt, there's no doubt in my mind that this team can go out there and from just think about the improvement they made from this time last year until the national the Frozen Four was just astronomical. So they can keep that trajectory growing where they're playing well right now and they get better and better and better. Then they're hitting in all cylinders like a Guy Godowski team. That's his forte. Is end of the year he hasn't playing the best at the best right then and there. So getting up to Minnesota this weekend, which has turned into a nice little rivalry because the Big Ten is great because it's not there's not 18 teams in the Big Ten. So we can sit there every week and say, oh, they have a nice little rivalry going because there's only like 8 teams that play. So they have a nice rivalry going with Minnesota. So there's always bad blood between those two teams. I love it. I love the fact that we can talk hockey and then we are actually on the national scene in the hockey world. With Guy, with his team, with where they were last year, with who they picked up this year. The sky is the limit for that team. And, going out on the road at Minnesota pre-Christmas, New Year's holiday break, go out there, get a win, get a point, get 2 points. That'd be a perfect scenario.
Yeah. A couple of big games. Both are 8 o'clock starts here, Friday and Saturday night out in Minneapolis for Penn State hockey. And the women's hockey team remains undefeated in the season. They'll be at RIT, but just a remarkable start to their season. I get it. I've had people like, well, you do understand the competition. Yeah, I get it. There is no Big Ten women's hockey, so they're in the AHA. What do you want them to do? They're playing the schedule that they pretty much have to, and they're playing it very well, and they are a really good team. Exactly where they are going to finish up on the national stage when the playoffs roll around. I don't know, but I think they're in the mix there, and I think the talent there, Goon, is legit. Like I don't think I don't think there's a bunch of teams out there that are going to wow Penn State because, oh, man, that roster is just clearly superior. I think with what Penn State has right now, and it starts with Janicki and Disa, I mean, it is a really good team, and I think it keeps getting better. We talk about it all the time. I think confidence is a big part of sports. There's no question they are playing with a ton of confidence right now. And we'll see how it all plays out. But they are putting up some eye-popping statistics to this point in the season. And then the other Penn State team just wanted to touch on here before we take our break, and then we'll talk some Penn State Nebraska football on the other side of the break, is the Penn State women's soccer team. And, it was a season that I think they would be the first to tell you, that was not quite what we were envisioning in terms of the regular season. But another team that has a lot of talent. They played this Virginia team earlier in the season, lost 1-0. It was, I think Virginia scored it was early in the game, within the first 5 minutes or so. And then they battled, at least score-wise, even from there. But I think having that familiarity with Virginia, I give Penn State more than a puncher's chance here of pulling off the upset in Charlottesville tonight. So we'll see. Best of luck, obviously, to Erica Dombach's team, and see if they can't pull what would be the biggest upset of the season for Penn State. Certainly, given the stage that it's on, without question, it would be that if they can get the job done. And again, there's enough talent there to think that, that is not crazy talk. Have to play very well. Virginia's a very good team. Certainly not going to be surprising if Virginia wins it, but I'm not going to be shocked if Penn State finds a way to knock off the number 1 seed in the region. We will take a break here. We're back on the other side. Hopefully we'll get us up and running here on the radio side of things as well. You're listening to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox, or at least in theory on the other side of this break you will be.
This region is known for its winding forest roads and scenic wild beauty. And there's one vehicle that's as rugged as Happy Valley. It's the Kia Telluride from Lion Country Kia. Hurry in now and check out the all-around rugged 2025 Tellurides. Lion Country Kia has the spacious 7-seater SUV with as low as 2.99% financing for 60 months or a $1,500 Kia finance rebate. There's 19 Tellurides in stock ready to go, starting at only $43,145. Be sure to check out the entire Kia lineup at Lion Country Kia. There's 91 new Kias available. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Who trusts Lion Country Kia? Mitchell Messenbrink trusts Lion Country Kia. And you should too. Lion Country Kia. 1334 Dravova Street, off Shiloh Road, behind Sam's Club, State College. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker and lube.
Get our Best Wings USA signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food. Get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS, once again.
The Fox, your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority. WFXS America.
98.7 The Fox State College. The Goon and Ironhead.
And we are back here on a Thursday afternoon. It's just an ugly looking Thursday here in Happy Valley. What are you going to do? Chris Buccanati joining us here at the
Hi, everyone.
Hour 2. How are you, sir?
I am wonderful. And how are you guys?
We are on pins and needles a little bit. I think it would be.
Yeah, I think most folks are. They're getting a little antsy, which is understandable, but we're all prisoners of the moment, man. Ironhead, I've been talking to a lot of people who are getting frustrated that a new coach has not been announced. And I kind of said, what were you expecting? Like, the only place that has made a hire so far is Virginia Tech, who's been without a coach for like 2 months, and they hired a guy who's out of work.
Yep.
It's just the way it is. And I said, the moment we know who it is and that permanence is in place, it removes all the uncertainty. All of this, it'll be a memory. It's like,
yep.
Here's the analogy, Ironhead. When you are in the middle of a really tough workout and you get to the point where your muscles are really starting to hurt and you want to throw in the towel, but you know you got to get to the end of it, that part is miserable, right? Like that last leg of the workout is just the worst. And then the moment it's over, you feel great that you got through it and you completely forget all the discomfort. That's where we're going to be after the coach gets announced. And this is not half as miserable. as getting through like the last leg of a long run or weight training session. So I really think I was going back and forth on Twitter with Donnie Collins about that earlier this afternoon. This can be kind of fun. It can be fun to realize how much of this is nonsense and BS.
Yep.
And you can just laugh at it. You can laugh at it, and sooner than later, we're going to have our answer.
Yeah, I mean, it is the question, and I think why there is the anxiousness is now with the timetable of everything, and that is another discussion. I guess we could have another day with the signing periods, and I still don't think they have. I don't think they have this right still when it comes to the transfer portal stuff, and I still think they have to get a better handle on that whole thing. The time periods of the transfer portals, also, whatever this contractual arrangement is going to be, and it's going to have to be a contractual arrangement that's going to at least put in some sort of punishment or some sort of clear cut. All right, you get this if you stay, you don't get this, and the other school now has to pick up this. There has to be something in there to deter the nonstop transfer opportunities that currently exist.
No doubt. No doubt.
Let me jump in here real quick before I got to jump out of here, but let's go back to have to sit out a year. You know what? Don't make it so easy to transfer and play right away. You got to have some kind of, I understand. Listen, I get the one time. I give you the one time that you messed up, you made a bad decision. Ironhead, we have talked about that a lot, and that is, coaches left, I made a bad decision, I want to move on. You get one of those. You don't get 4. You don't get 3. You don't get 2. You get one. Get out of jail free card. If you messed up, made a bad decision, and you make it. You're making amending that.
Goon, you know what I want?
It'll slow it down.
You know what I want? Forget that you have to sit out a year stuff. That's a relic of a bygone era. Put a financial buyout in every contract. So you made a bad decision, then guess what? There's a dollar value attached to it. If another program values your services enough, they will pay the buyout. And if they don't, then you can give up your own money that is owed to you by the school you signed with, and you can go bet on yourself and become a free agent. Now, people say, well, what if their coach leaves? That can be worked into the contract too.
Yeah.
You can put in a stipulation, a contractual stipulation that says, if you guys fire my coach, then I become a free agent.
Yeah.
And that all of that, again, all of it is going to have to be collectively bargained. But what I want at the end of the day as a fan, I want to be able to root for human beings. I don't want to root for laundry. Yeah. So I want there to be more obligation, two-way obligation on behalf of the player, on behalf of the institution up front, so that when these guys commit, that word actually, go look up the definition of that word in the dictionary. And what Merriam-Webster's tells you commit means is the exact opposite of what it means in college football. So let's bring those two things into alignment. And so the school has got to have some skin in the game too.
Yeah.
Where they say, hey, we're believing in you and your talent. So that means if you get here and you get hurt, or you do everything we ask of you and you just stink, well, then guess what? That's on us, and we still got to pay you what we agreed to pay you. But that also means if you come here and you have you're a great player, then maybe there's a window 2 or 3 years into your career that we can renegotiate what we owe you. But you can't just jump in the transfer portal and all the effort we poured into developing you goes to benefit Ohio State or Alabama or some other program, and we get nothing back in return. That, to me, is where it has to go. I think that best serves the players. It best serves the programs in terms of stability. And ultimately, that serves the fans. And since we're being asked to pay more and more every single year as the paying customers, I would like to be included in this whole equation.
Yeah, that would be nice. And I think the the part of it that still fascinates me is who does the collective bargaining on behalf of the players?
Yeah, well, that's the devil's in that detail, man. How about that?
Well, and I keep talking to people about it, and different people have different thoughts, including some current student athletes. And I am still, that is a big part of the equation here, as is who is the collective bargaining done with? Right now, it almost has to be done at the conference level, and that can't be. Again, my opinion, but I don't think that's a long-term sustainable proposition either. Where you have the Big Ten negotiating with its student athletes and the SEC, because again, when they transferred it from one conference to the other, so to me, there has to be some centralized office, as we've been talking about, and I think sooner rather than later there will be, whether you call it a commissioner's office specifically or whatever, but something that will in essence replace the NCAA, that will be a centralized office with
there's going to have to be. Think about this, Ironhead. So everybody wants to compare this to the NFL, and I understand why. And you say, well, why can't you have a salary cap? Why can't you have this, that, or the other thing? That's collectively bargained, okay?
Yeah.
There are 32 NFL franchises. Each one of them has one majority owner. That's one rich guy who gets to make all the decisions for that franchise. So 32 human beings empower one NFL Incorporated office with one all-powerful commissioner, Roger Goodell.
Yep.
It's very tightly knit on the NFL side. Now let's think about just Penn State, okay? One school in an 18-member Big Ten. We have our president. We have our athletic director who answers to the president. We have our 36-member board of trustees that is composed of all kinds of different people who end up on that board. The president, theoretically, is answerable to the board of trustees. And and by the way, the governor of the Commonwealth sits on our board of trustees. We're answerable to the state. And that's just the way Penn State is set up. There are 17 other schools in the Big Ten that are set up differently than Penn State. Like you look at LSU, the governor is way more directly involved in the governance of LSU, Louisiana State University, than Josh Shapiro or whoever is involved in the governance of Penn State. So I'm just saying, so we're in the NFL, it would be Jeff Lurie, right?
Yeah.
Or Terry Pagula. In college football, just in the Big Ten, you got 17 universities that are all set up differently. And there are probably, Ironhead, I'm just guessing, more football players in just the Big Ten conference who would be represented by a players union than there are in the entire NFL. Is that probably
I think that would be right.
Yeah. Yeah, because they have 53 guys on a roster. We have 105 guys per roster.
Yep.
In the Big Ten. And that's before you factor in the SEC. And then we can still get the ACC and the Big 12 in this before we even get to the group of 5.
Yeah.
You want to talk about herding cats, man. This thing, it makes my head spin when I try to figure out how could you get to employer-employee relations, like labor relations, like we have in the NFL.
Yeah, it is. It's such an important component, and it's just such a part that I don't want to have to deal with or think about. And it's the same really in the NFL. I mean, obviously, those are critical decisions that are being made, and they impact all of the teams and the players, and therefore the fans. But most fans aren't wanting to think about that stuff. They want to go out and root for their team and see their team go win games like that. That's I don't care. Players are making what they're making. Coaches are making what they're making. I'm just here to root on my team, and I want to have a good feeling at the end of the day.
Who's your favorite Steeler right now?
Right now, probably. Oh, that's actually a good question. I mean, I tend to be the Penn State in me, so Pat Freiermuth is probably still my personal favorite.
Great. Okay, so I get it. You're a Penn State guy. You love the Steelers. You love Penn State. You love Pat Freiermuth.
Yep.
Pat Freiermuth just signed a contract extension.
Yep.
So you know, Ironhead, that your favorite player on your favorite team who comes from your favorite college is going to be a Steeler ostensibly through the life of that contract. Now, how do you think you would? Well, right. Yeah. There's always caveats.
Yeah.
But there's some stability there versus, do you think you would like it less or more? You would enjoy the NFL less or more if Pat Freiermuth could be like, you know what?
Yeah.
I am sick of these 42-year-old quarterbacks they keep signing. You know what? I'm going to go. Jason Kelsey's about to retire. I'm just going to go play for the Chiefs next year.
Yep.
And there's nothing the Steelers can do about it. There's nothing the fans can do about it. And by the way, you won't know until the last possible minute, and I'll just leave. Do you think you'd enjoy that more or less?
Yeah, of course, much less. And listen, that is why they, the powers that be, conference commissioners and athletic directors, I mean, they know that what is out there right now is not sustainable. From a fan's perspective,
yeah,
you're
stinks.
Not going to generate the interest. Now, the other interesting component to that, though, Booch, is I don't know, like I think there is a segment of fans that are like, I'm out altogether as it is. I don't care if they get this figured out. It's just, now I don't think it's as great a portion. I see people, all right, that does it, I'm out, and then I see them and they're glued to the TV. And by the way, I'm probably one of those people.
Oh, yeah.
Probably a time or two along the way here over the last couple of years. I'm like, this is really ending college sports and why I love it. And then
we keep coming. Yeah, we're held hostage and we're all full of it. Most of the people who say they're going to stop watching are like the people who say they're going to move out of the country if the presidential candidate they don't like, wins the election. It's easy to say that. You're not moving, and we're not going to stop watching college football. But I'll tell you one thing that will happen maybe is we might start caring about it less, which is going to result in us probably in the long term spending less money on it. And that is a problem.
Yes. With that, so I've been thinking a lot, Booch, and I don't know. I'd be curious to get your perspective on this because I broached it with Goon, and after initially dismissing it, I think he thought about it a little more, and one of the things that I think is changing, maybe has changed, is the fandom and the degree to which you're going to stick with your team through thick or thin. I've made the argument for a long time in professional sports. Like Pirates fans get blasted because, man, you don't show up when the team stinks the way the Cubs fans did for all those years, or the Red Sox fans. And the comparison I've always made, do you say somebody's a great restaurant customer if they keep going to the same restaurant that serves them crappy food and overcharges them and the service is lousy? And it's like, well, yeah, but man, those are great customers. They keep coming to that restaurant no matter what. It's like, well, then what is the incentive?
Yeah.
Like, why would the restaurant change the crappy service, the crappy food it's providing if you're going to keep supporting it? So I've just never bought into the, man, you're a lousy fan if you don't stick there.
One of the main reasons the Cubs stunk for as long as they did, despite playing in one of the biggest markets in the U.S., was because the fans kept showing up like that.
Yes. And so that being said, part of why I think the college allegiance is there is the alumni base that comprises at least a good segment of any big school's fan base. But they all have fans that, loyal, diehard fans that did not go to the school, that are not alums, and that's part of the equation as well. And what I do wonder about is and I think even to some degree you're seeing it with Penn State this year. And listen, to some degree, it's always been there. I understand that. A team that is 11-0 draws better for the 12th week than the team that's 0-11. No matter how loyal the fans are. Yes, very true. I get it. But with the money involved now, I think fans are more likely to say, yeah, forget it. Until you get back to winning, I need to see it. I think I'll put the checkbook away for a while. Let me see what you got. And it's one of those chicken and egg things, because to be a great program, you have to have that money infused up front. And to keep it going, you have to be winning, and all of those things. But it feels like there is less of a connection. And I've been thinking about this a lot, Booch, and I haven't really completely come to where I want to settle on this. I know there's a point that I want to make, and I don't know exactly what it is just yet. But Terry Smith's press conference and that went viral, and I know you played it on your show. We played it on our show the other day. The very emotional. It means the world to him to be in the position that Joe Paterno was, and Penn State, obviously with his family and everything. It means a ton to him, and Joe Paterno, obviously not a Penn State grad, but pretty hard to argue that Penn State didn't mean the world to him as he went along. Obviously, going back to the decision to stay at Penn State and not take an NFL job with the Patriots or the Jets along the way, and all of that. And so,
or the Steelers, or Michigan. That's one that's less known, but he was going to be offered the Michigan job before they hired Bo Schembechler.
Yeah, and so you go back to the 1979 season. For those that are old enough, and I was 10 at the time, so it's not like I was a seasoned fan, but I was following passionately the Nittany Lions, and there were very high expectations that season. They were coming off of the Sugar Bowl loss, even though it should have been a win over Alabama.
Was in.
Expectations were very high, a ton of players returning from that roster, but you kind of had an inkling that this could go a little sideways with the Matt Millen, Joe Paterno blow up in August, and sure enough, it does go sideways. What I posed to Goon, and I'll pose to you because I'm just curious at your thoughts. And impossible to give a definitive answer here, and I understand it. Hypotheticals are always that, hypotheticals, and no definitive answer available here. I understand. But if you apply today's college football world, the expectations, the climate, does Joe Paterno get out of that 79 season? Listen, we're talking about James Franklin losing this team because there's a perceived lack of effort against Northwestern in particular, coming off of the UCLA, and that too. But more so, it was, that team gave up on him against Northwestern in front of the home fans. That 79 team, Booch, not only could you argue that Paterno lost them? Like, there was rebellion against Paterno. I mean,
look them up, folks.
The Matt Millen faction was, and listen, Matt over the years, like he has said many times, he was wrong. Like, he should have had more reverence. Understands now the lessons, all of that, as most of us who were young and ran into somebody that was any kind of a disciplinarian, and we had our rebellious side. It's like, looking back, son of a gun, they did know what they were talking about. But my point is, I don't know that Joe Paterno gets through that 79 season and gets to have the decade he had in the 80s. And I'm not sitting here arguing one way or the other that James Franklin was about to go on a decade run like Paterno had in the 80s if only Penn State had kept him. But I will say the recruiting class that he had, I don't know. I don't know if he would have been able to recapture this team, and none of us do. I know there's all kinds of people. Well, no, I do know. You don't. I strongly suspect, and I suspect you may be right. Fine. But I'm just saying, we'll never know, and that's fine. That thing turned so toxic so quickly, Booch. And I think that is kind of indicative of, and I don't think Penn State's going to be alone in that. I mean, you're seeing it in Clemson now. I mean, Thomas Sweeney won 2 national titles, and man, it is getting ugly. DeBoer in Alabama, I mean, if they lose the Iron Bowl, he's going to be out, and yeah, Penn State may have their next head coach there. But
I think it is disgusting. Ironhead, the way Kalen DeBoer has sullied the great tradition, the proud tradition of Alabama Crimson Tide football.
I think
they should be embarrassed. I think he should be embarrassed. Those two need to part ways.
They need to part ways.
They need to get rid of him.
Would he ever be able to find work again, though, Booch, is the question. I'm wondering if like, I don't know, let's just say hypothetically, like a Penn State would take a chance on somebody like that and throw out a lifeline.
It's hard to imagine settling for such a guy who had just completely debased the unparalleled brand of Crimson Tide football. But you never know. All I can say is that Alabama fans deserve so much better, and they should get rid of them.
No question about that.
Yes,
no, that we clearly agree on.
Yeah. To your point, let me say this, though, because trust me, the thought has gone through my mind many times, the analogies between 78, 79 and 24, 25. Here's the difference, I think. And you're right. None of us know, and it is absolutely a valid comparison and a great question to ask. And a real look in the mirror and take stock opportunity for Penn State fans and for Patrick Kraft and everybody in college football. Here's the thing I do think, though. You said that thing turned toxic and sour quickly. I don't think it was quickly. In fact, I think it was more a death by 1,000 paper cuts, and we only paid attention to the 1,000th cut because Joe, from the time he got here as a would-be lawyer, making a stop off on the way to law school in the 1950s to 1979, had done nothing but himself fall more and more slowly in love with Penn State as an institution and the Nittany Valley as a place, and vice versa. And with James Franklin, it went in the exact opposite direction. Joe slowly built goodwill and political capital and grew in his admiration for and attachment to this place. And it was the exact opposite with James. And I do think it made a difference. I mean, by the time this thing went bad, in contrast to 79, everybody was kind of willing to grant Joe a little grace and benefit of the doubt. And he was willing to tolerate a little bit of short-sightedness and impatience from the fan base. And I've said before, I get the sense that by the time we got to halftime in the Northwestern game, look at the body language, look at the atmosphere inside Beaver Stadium. That was it. That was the 1,000th paper cut. He was sick of us, and in large part, we were sick of him. So that's it, the way where I think the analogy breaks down and the examples diverge. But that's just my take on it. And like all of us, I could be wrong. But that's my answer to your question.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things there. One is, I mean, Paterno always had his detractors here at Penn State, as every head coach will. And it's funny, just looking through some of the comments today, Shane's writing, well, what if we don't feel great after the hire? Pat Fitzgerald hire would make me very unhappy.
Me too. All I could say to Shane, and I get it, absolutely, is that at least the silver lining is then we can immediately begin complaining, and that's kind of fun too.
But
yes. God forbid, and God forbid Pat Fitzgerald. I know you probably like him better than I do. Ironhead, I want no part of that. None.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. First of all, I would love it. I think Pat Fitzgerald. I'm not sure I've heard a better candidate out there in terms of the track record, the fit, the understanding of what it takes to be successful in the Big Ten, all of those things, and the hunger that Pat Fitzgerald must have to get back into coaching and to do it at a high level. I can't imagine anybody else has more of that desire. All of that being said, I think there is no chance. For one, if that was the guy and that's the guy they wanted,
why would
be
you
the head
hire him?
coach?
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that he's not yet, to me, means he's not. Period. So you don't have to worry about it. I can't think of a better fit out there for.
Okay. So this is great. You can't think of a better fit, and Shane and I want no part of them.
And you're not alone. A good chunk of my friends are with you guys.
Well, and here's the thing. That is going to be true of every single candidate. Now, if, and we've got to be all huge Auburn Tigers fans, if Alabama blows the Iron Bowl and Kalen DeBoer decides he has had enough of the Deep South, I think that would be probably the closest you could get to a consensus candidate that most people would be excited about. But anybody else, right. There are going to be a bunch of people who are excited and a bunch of people who are not big fans. And like I said, if it's a hire you don't like, you get to grumble about it and complain a little bit. And if it's a hire that you do like, you get to be excited for 6 months. Think about how excited we were for the 6 months before this season. One thing we ought to all keep in perspective is that many times coaching hires who seem like they were terrible at the outset turned out to be pretty good.
Yep.
And there are many examples of vice versa. So the point is, once the hire gets made, let's all just kind of try to, sing Kumbaya for a little while.
Yep.
And either restrain our enthusiasm or restrain our discontent and just be a little patient and wait and see. Because the one thing I can tell you, Ironhead, I've been talking about this a lot because this hits super close to home for me. I cannot think of another coach in my lifetime who face planted and screwed up the introductory press conference worse than Nick Sirianni.
Yeah.
He was viewed as a fallback candidate for the Eagles. And I honestly, I bet if you put them right down to it, Jeff Lurie and Howie Roseman, they would admit that he was not their first choice. I think he was viewed as a fallback candidate because he was. He was terrible in his opening press conference. And everybody clowned him. And even then I said, guys, who cares really? He doesn't have to go out and recruit. He doesn't have to schmooze donors. I don't really care if an NFL coach is good at an introductory press conference or not. But he was written off by a large portion of the fan base and the national media because of that. And now he's got a ring. And he just keeps winning. So sometimes the first impression is underwhelming and it doesn't matter. And sometimes it's Scott Frost at Nebraska or Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M, and they make a big splash, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, home run hire! You couldn't have knocked that out of the park any better than you did." And it's a complete disaster when you get on the field. I mean, I feel like Texas has had half a dozen of those hires in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Oh, home run hire, unbelievable, and then it doesn't work out. So all of that is to just say to everybody, I know we're all on pins and needles right now, and I know there's going to be an outpouring of emotion in both directions when the decision finally gets made. Yeah, just wait and see.
Yeah, on the other side of this, we'll take a break here because the other thing, and where I'm kind of leading up with the Joe Paterno, James Franklin thing, is the importance of the quote-unquote Penn State culture. And if that matters, if that matters to fans really at the end of the day, versus winning. Man, we want to win. That's, and I'll explain a little more what I mean. I'm not saying obviously the two can't go hand in hand, but I do wonder if we are, I don't wonder. We are getting further and further removed from what I grew up with as the Penn State way. And I'm not arguing bad or good. Just very different. The world we're in now here in Happy Valley. And, I think for some of us, and, I'm looking in the mirror, I think it's still difficult to be making the pivot that everybody is making. I mean, the world is making the pivot. It's the old, you can not get the computers, and I'm not going to get online. I'm going to be the last one to get a cell phone. That's fine. The world is going to move ahead without you. That's cool. Again, there's people that, man, I hate NIL. Again, you can not like it. That's cool, but do you want to have a winning program or not? Yeah. And if you do, you got to play the game.
Adapt or die.
But I want to talk a little bit about the quote-unquote Penn State and what that actually means as we move forward with the new coaching hire and the entire process. So we'll pick that up on the other side of this timeout. You're listening to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show.
This region is known for its winding forest roads and scenic wild beauty. And there's one vehicle that's as rugged as Happy Valley. It's the Kia Telluride from Lion Country Kia. Hurry in now and check out the all-around rugged 2025 Tellurides. Lion Country Kia has the spacious 7-seater SUV with as low as 2.99% financing for 60 months or a $1,500 Kia finance rebate. There's 19 Tellurides in stock ready to go, starting at only $43,145. Be sure to check out the entire Kia lineup at Lion Country Kia. There's 91 new Kias available. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Who trusts Lion Country Kia? Mitchell Messenbrink trusts Lion Country Kia. And you should too. Lion Country Kia. 1334 Drabble Street, off Shiloh Road, behind Sam's Club, State College. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXX, once again,
The Fox,
your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America.
98.7 The Fox State College. The Goon and Ironhead.
And back here for a final segment on this Thursday afternoon. Chris Buchanani filling in here for Goon over the final hour of today's program. And Penn State football obviously continuing the coaching search, and it has a lot of folks nervous, excited, all of the emotions that come with wondering what the future is going to look like for your program. And Butch, one of the things that, and there's a lot of sentiment, and I'm kind of with the sentiment, even though I think, and we had a message earlier in the program, and I'm with you. I think very little chance, like next to none, that Terry Smith will be the next head coach. But
no question.
But do I think that? Again, would I like it at least in the moment? Yeah, I think it would be for me exciting. I think it would be great to have somebody that is what I said earlier in the week on our morning show is no matter who the head coach is, if it's not Terry Smith, that person is not going to have the reverence for that position that Terry Smith has. Like it's not going to mean as much to that individual, whoever it is. It's pretty much impossible,
of course,
for that too. That being said,
can I just say one thing about that though, Ironhead?
Go ahead.
Do you know where Bob Chesney is from?
I know he's a Pennsylvania. I don't know the town.
So he is from Colpmont, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Which I had never heard of.
I have not.
My mom had heard of it. It's in Northumberland County.
Okay.
Which is almost exactly halfway between where I grew up in Carbon County and State College. And so I know that part of Pennsylvania. Bob Chesney is 48 years old. What do you think the odds are? This has got football guy, right? What do you think the odds are, Ironhead, that he was not at some point in his life piled into the back of a station wagon as a kid and driven down Route 80 and then stuck in traffic in Pleasant Gap for an hour and a half to go to a 1:00 kickoff of a Penn State football game? Like that is almost guaranteed, right?
Yes, I would think. Yeah, virtually 100% guaranteed.
Yeah, so no way anybody is touching Terry Smith in terms of affection for and appreciation for Penn State. But if it would end up being Bob Chesney, he might be the next closest thing.
Yeah, and so, but here's the thing. I'm not sure.
By the way, you never had that lovely experience. You just walked to Beaver Stadium. You did not have to wake up at 3 a.m. and sit in an hour. Like easily an hour of traffic getting off that damn Route 80 exit and going through Pleasant Gap.
This is very true. In fact, I literally walked to the games on home football Saturdays for probably at least 4 or 5 years there.
I believe it.
In my teenage years, because my grandparents lived in Houserville, and we literally would go over to their house, and I would walk up from their house through the fields and meet different people, different weeks. I would have I'd sit with and get tickets from, and so that is true. I never had that part of the Penn State football experience. Here's the thing. For those of us that grew up in the Paterno era, again, that era is never coming back. And I think most people recognize that and understand that, like, that was in some ways just a fairy tale type of situation that developed, where you not only had the same head coach, you had the same assistant coaches for decades after decades, and you knew exactly what Penn State football was. So I understand that era is gone. I get it, so my question is, what does, if anything other than winning, what does the Penn State quote unquote culture now entail? And I'll just, I'll make a couple of comparisons. So James Franklin obviously wasn't a Penn State guy per se, also a Pennsylvania native, and I think certainly understood to a large degree the Penn State football culture, what was important to them, and again implemented his own twist on it. But I think while James Franklin was here, whether you liked it or not, like that was Penn State. Like it
sure.
For that 12-year period, 11+ year period, you felt like, all right, I know what Penn State is, and the good and the bad that came with that.
I could not agree with you more, though. And this, I think, is an important point for us all to keep in mind as we go through the divorce here.
Yep.
What James talks about, and he talked about it again when he was introduced at Virginia Tech. And again, I think that's going to be an impediment for him maybe in modern college football, but he really does believe in the transformational, not transactional thing. And that is about as close to like kind of a modern extension of the grand experiment ethos as we had any right to expect.
Yep.
Here in the 21st century. So I give him credit for that. I really do. And I don't want, in all the inevitable bad feelings during the breakup here, for us to lose sight of that. And so I always try to point it out when it comes up in these conversations.
Yeah. And so I'm not even sure. It would be interesting to do a survey. What does the Penn State culture mean to people anymore? And I don't even have a clear definition. It's just it's one of those you know it when you see it. It's like, oh yeah, that feels like a Penn State guy. Pat Fitzgerald, again, to me feels like, oh yeah, that's what Penn State football ought to feel like, again, to me. Now, that being said, it doesn't mean that you can't change, and you could have a dynamic, a different personality in here, and hey, that's now the identity for a while. I think, again, whoever it is, it has to be, I think, embrace the Penn State community. I do think that's a big part of it. And to go back to the discussion earlier, what Joe Paterno did in the early years of his career really was remarkable in terms of the outreach. And I mean, Joe he talked about it many times that he then changed course a little bit, and there was some things that happened with some of the media experiences. But I mean, initially the outreach to the media and to the fans, I mean, he really was a salesman for the university. James Franklin, when he came in, talked about that. The whole at the I think it was the first press conference, right, where he talked about it. If there's a birthday party, I'll be there. He wasn't at the end of the day, and I'm not. This isn't bashing him on that. When you look at the schedules and the demands on coaches now, James Franklin may have been earnest in what he was envisioning when he came in and what he thought he could do. I'm not even sitting here saying that he was lying in that press conference, and he may have had every intention. Yeah, I'm going to go out and meet with the fans. And then things kept getting added to the coaches' cards, not just Franklin. I mean, all college coaches. It's like, well, now you got to worry about this. Now you got to deal with this. And I know, there's been whispers that, well, boy, he didn't get out very much. I mean, he wasn't, didn't do this event, didn't do that event. Listen, Pat Kraft doesn't get out to a lot of the events that previous ADs have. And I'm not bashing Pat Kraft. Please do not misunderstand what I'm saying. Cale Sanderson doesn't get to a lot of events. Now, all of these guys are, I mean, Franklin would get to an event or two that he felt were important. Pat Kraft is out. I'm not saying these guys aren't active in the community or that they're not giving any of that. Cale certainly is. But again, the demands have gone up in terms of what time and energy has to be focused on. Even more than it's always been. And they've always, I mean, athletic directors and football coaches and coaches of any kind, they've always been jobs that are very demanding of the time. I'm just saying it's even more so now. And so I think one of the things when you come in is, you've got to have that outreach, at least through the quarterback club and, the things that are in place, coaches shows and all of that. But you have to try to do that outreach, but also you have to define, all right, whoever it is, this is now the Penn State culture. And you can incorporate some stuff from the past or not. It can be a new culture. And, Cale Sanderson had obviously no connection to Penn State, no history with Penn State. And now, I mean, he is the epitome of Penn State wrestling. Like, you think Penn State wrestling, you can't think of Penn State wrestling history without Cale Sanderson. And I think, that what he has brought to the table now, that is Penn State wrestling. So again, I'm not arguing.
Here's the thing, though, about that example, though. When you ask me to define the brand of Penn State, I do think about things like humility, toughness, work ethic, relentlessness. All of those things are foundational to who Cale Sanderson is as a person and the identity of the type of program he wants to build. Now, look, I think this is not exactly apples to apples, because that probably defines the sport of wrestling just about everywhere, right? So, like, in fact, let me say this. I think the character of Penn State, like the character of every great college football program, is largely defined by the region where it's located. And there is a reason why Pennsylvania and central Pennsylvania is such a hotbed for wrestling, right? Because the values of the sport align so well with the cultural values of the people who kind of settled this area and this state and who made it what it was. So it's like a hand in glove fit. So of course it only makes sense that a guy who's wired up to be one of the most successful wrestling coaches of all time could come and thrive at a place like Penn State, because everything was already set up. It was just like the pins were there for him to knock them down. And I think, though, a lot of those same values, they will kind of extend to the football program as well. Like, there's a reason why nobody seriously for a moment discussed Lane Kiffin as a viable option for this job.
No, I think that's true. I think there's also I do think there's been a bit of a disconnect over the last decade or so. And this is where I think it's going to get tricky. And this isn't just a Penn State thing. This is a college football, college athletics thing. So there's no question that big money drives the engine right now. Like, in order to be competitive, and to some degree, I get it, it always has. But I mean, you've got to be in the game of creating financial opportunities for your coaches, your players. You've got to be keeping up with the latest technology in your facilities, all of those things. It is a big money game, as much, if not more than ever right now. But so with that, you have to be schmoozing and making the big money people, the corporations that are willing to support your program, the individuals who have hit with wild success in their business ventures. You have to be going after those people. What I think that the concern is like, Joe Paterno was really good at the outreach with the everyday fan, especially early in his career, and understood, man, we got to get this stadium filled. Like, we need to keep building that. I think, and again, this isn't a Penn State specific thing. I think college sports in general just kind of assume that, yep, the fans now, we've established it, they will be there.
Yeah.
And so now we just focus on the big money folks and on winning. And to be sure, the everyday folks will show up. They'll find a way to pay what they need to pay when you're winning. The thing is, every program inevitably is going to go through that downturn. You hope that it's only for a season or two. Sometimes it may be a 3, 4, 5 year run. In horrible situations, it could be even longer. And where I think then it becomes really challenging is then the big money people are like, hey, I gave you the big money. What are you doing? But more so, it's the everyday fans who feel like they are disenfranchised. And again, yep, I'll keep showing up while you're winning because I've been longtime supporters, but you're not throwing bones my way. And again, if you're winning, I guess I can forgive that. Well, when you start not winning, and I think it's part of why things turned as toxic as quickly as they did with James Franklin. I think you're right on some of it too with James and some little things and bigger things that happened. But also, I just think there's a general disconnect that the everyday non-big money, not the big money boosters, just the people that have been going to the games, that they're making $60,000 a year and they just love their team. They love supporting them, and they basically take what would be their vacation money and they put it into the season tickets and all of that. And then, but they see, man, parking's going up. They're not getting thrown bones. They're not, and I think we're in a very tough time for that connection to continue, and I think that's going to be
entirely
a challenge
taken for granted. It is abusively taken for granted. Your example is exactly right.
In college sports,
it's like, I stroked you $1 million check for Kyron Hudson and he stunk. What are you guys doing? On the other hand, on one hand, there's that guy. I gave you $1 million and this guy was terrible. How are you spending my money? That guy's upset. On the other hand, you've got we have a stadium with 100,000 seats in it. Even when they're done with this renovation, they're going to try to keep it at 100,000. And you were asked to come in there and fill the seats and cheer the team on, win or lose, for love of school and place and alma mater and all this good stuff. Well, part of it is, man, the live experience of college football, especially at Penn State, is awesome. Now, I'm just speaking personally. Is it a little bit less charming and romantic when I'm being bombarded with Aflac ads or whatever? Like, yes, the answer is 100% yes. So you are charging me more for something that is less and less enjoyable and fulfilling and unique with each passing year. So that's a terrible relationship between cost charged and value derived from me as a consumer. But much, much more importantly, when we put it in that context, whatever to you, the pittance it cost me, everyday family head of household in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, to bring my family of 4 to one football game, that's worth more to me personally than the $1 million from the guy who's angry because he wasted it on Kyron Hudson or whatever other dope you brought in through the transfer portal and he stunk. So like, you do need to be worried more about alienating those rank and file customers because they are bleeding for you in a way the $1 million donors aren't.
Yes. And again, it is, I don't envy, it is a really difficult position, right, for an athletic director or a coach to be in, where it's not that I think they don't recognize the importance of the everyday fans, but also they're trying to run a program and deliver the product that the everyday fans want. And they know the way you have to do that in today's world is you better be schmoozing and staying in the good graces of the big money donors.
Sure.
And so that you can keep up with the facilities, so you can keep up with the NIL money. I mean, all of the things that we talk about, and all of those things are also perceived, I think, pretty much correctly by the everyday fan as being part of the ruination of college athletics, which is also kind of the great irony of this whole thing. And again, really tough positions to be in, because again, it's not that I think these folks don't understand the importance and the value of the everyday fans, but there's only 24 hours in a day and you're trying to put out a winning product and you know what you have to do to do it. And so I understand fans feeling like they are taken for granted. I think to a large degree they are. And also, it's why the premium is on winning. that they will keep showing up if you're winning.
Yeah.
And I think everybody kind of understands that as well. All right, that's going to wrap things up for today. Thanks, Booch. As
My
always,
pleasure, man.
we appreciate it.
We'll get it all figured out. It's all good, everyone.
Yes, indeed. Enjoy that 7 o'clock kickoff Saturday night against Nebraska. Enjoy the weekend, and we will be back with another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show next Tuesday. Until then, be good and be safe.
This region is known for its winding forest roads and scenic wild beauty. And there's one vehicle that's as rugged as Happy Valley. It's the Kia Telluride from Lion Country Kia. Hurry in now and check out the all-around rugged 2025 Tellurides. Lion Country Kia has the spacious 7-seater SUV with as low as 2.99% financing for 60 months or a $1,500 Kia finance rebate. There's 19 Tellurides in stock ready to go, starting at only $43,145. Be sure to check out the entire Kia lineup at Lion Country Kia. There's 91 new Kias available. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Who trusts Lion Country Kia? Mitchell Messenbrink trusts Lion Country Kia. And you should too. Lion Country Kia. 1334 Droughville Street, off Shiloh Road, behind Sam's Club, State College. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors. People invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXX, once again,
The Fox,
your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority. WFXS America.
98.7 The Fox State College. The Goon